Thank you for taking the time to join me today for this exploration of the literal art of African travel. Let's begin with a thought experiment. Take a moment to think about African art and design. Chances are that the first things to come to mind look a lot like this: wooden masks, stone and bronze sculptures, and traditional textiles. Rather than like this. I'm going clockwise. From the upper left, we have work by Mary Sibanda from South Africa, Sherry Samba from the Democratic Republic of the Congo, Gonzalo Mabunda from Mozambique, Cyrus Kabiru from Kenya, El Enatuzi from Ghana, and Dylan Lewis from South Africa. So today we'll discuss the growing global interest in contemporary African art and design, followed by a deeper exploration of three particularly dynamic areas of artistic expression on the continent, namely fine art, street art, and design. And finally, we'll take a look at how you can integrate contemporary African art and design into your itineraries and enable your clients to experience the art of travel. Interest in and awareness of contemporary African art has been growing steadily over the past decade, as shown by the launch and growth of the 154 Contemporary African Art Fair. The 54 in 154 references the 54 countries on the African continent. The show was founded in London in 2013 to run alongside Frieze as the first art fair dedicated to showcasing African contemporary art. 154 is now a key part of the global art scene, with 4 annual shows around the world in London, Paris, New York, and Marrakesh. If you happen to live in one of these cities or be visiting when the show is in town and would like to get a first-hand look at what it's all about, I'd highly recommend visiting. I attend the London Fair annually, and it's a great way to find out what's happening in contemporary African art. The growth of 154 has been accompanied by the increased presence of African artists and galleries at more generalist international contemporary art fairs such as Frieze. The past decade has also seen the creation of dedicated African contemporary art departments at major auction houses. We've gone from 60% of lots remaining unsold at Bonham's first African contemporary art auction in 2010 to Sotheby's running several auctions a year that regularly break sales estimates, with the most recent auction taking place at the end of March 2021. This is also extended to solo auctions for African artists, such as the 2019 Dylan Lewis Shapeshifting auction at Christie's. There has also been increased visibility of African artists at key museums and exhibitions, such as the Venice Biennale. Museums like the Tate Modern and the Museum of Modern Art in New York are making a concerted effort to build up their contemporary African collections. Their curators are now regular attendees at 154, and in 2018, Bodis Kingeles from the Democratic Republic of Congo became the first African artist to have a solo exhibition at the MoMA. Finally, there has been a notable expansion of premier African art galleries to global cities such as London, as well as the foundation of dedicated institutions such as the Zeitz Museum of Contemporary Art Africa, both of which we will discuss in more detail shortly. The growing prominence of contemporary African art and design has spurred an increasing number of high-profile collaborations with international brands, including Hermès, which has done multiple collaborations with South African design studio Ardmore, and Dior, which collaborated with Ghanaian artist Amako Boafo for the men's Spring-Summer 2021 collection, and South African artist Chris Soule for the 2021 Lady Dior bag collection. It's not just luxury brands. IKEA worked with 10 African designers from 7 countries to create their limited edition 2019 Overall collection. While there has definitely been an increase in the prominence of contemporary African art and design, there's still a long way to go. Although awareness is growing, for most people this is still very much new and exciting territory. In many ways, this makes contemporary African art and design the best of both worlds for knowledgeable travel advisors. People are aware enough to be curious and interested, but there is a significant opportunity for travel advisors to add value by enabling them to engage with this emerging artistic movement. With this in mind, let's do a deeper dive into three particularly dynamic areas: fine art, street art, and design. As we discussed, the establishment of the institutions dedicated to contemporary African art has played a key role in raising the profile of African artists. These include the Zeitz Museum of Contemporary Art Africa in the Norval Foundation in Cape Town, the Museum of African Contemporary Art Almaden in Marrakesh, and most recently the Zoma Museum in Addis Ababa in 2019. The foundation of these institutions has been accompanied by the creation of residencies specifically for African artists, a key way to increase their global exposure. If one institution could be seen as putting African contemporary art on the map globally, it's the Zeitz Museum of Contemporary Art Africa in Cape Town. Founded in 2017 by former Puma CEO Jochen Zeitz, the MoCA is the world's first major museum dedicated to contemporary African art. It incorporates a full educational and research program as well as exhibitions. In addition to showcasing African contemporary art, the MoCA also serves as an anchor for Cape Town's growing art and design district, known as the Silo District. The district is home to Design Gallery's Southern Guild, as well as the Silo Hotel, both of which we will explore in more detail shortly, as well as other makers and designers. In addition, top African galleries such as Everard Reed in 2016 and Goodman Gallery in 2019 have expanded beyond the continent. This is Everard Reed's gallery in London. They brought the artists they represent with them and play a key role in drawing curators from major museums to specialist fairs such as 154, as well as establishing a growing presence for African artists at mainstream contemporary art fairs like Frieze. International galleries are increasingly showcasing African artists. William Kentridge from South Africa currently has a solo exhibition at the Marion Goodman Gallery in New York and has previously exhibited at the White Cube in London. Now let's step out of the galleries and museums and into the street. The street art movement in Africa predates the rise of fine contemporary African art. African art has always had a strong political lens, and street art has always been a form of social and political commentary, a way for anti-establishment artists to get their message across in a highly public arena. With this in mind, it's not surprising that street art is particularly strong in South Africa, where it developed as part of the anti-apartheid movement, notably in Cape Town and Johannesburg. Contemporary examples include, in a clockwise direction, Mac 1's tribute to Nelson Mandela, Freddie Sam's famous reflective work You Are Me, I Am You, and Sapie's Beyond Walls installation in Cape Town, which literally embraced both Sea Point and the townships through a chain of linked hands. African cities are home to work by both local and international street artists. Their work often speaks to specifically African concerns such as conservation. Here we have a rhino skull by Louis Massai, a Rothschild's giraffe by Mac 1, a Cape leopard by Sunny, all of whom are African artists, as well as the wireframe lion by Chinese artist Del East. The rising prominence of African street art has also taken African artists to the wider world. This mural by Faith 47 is located in East London. Over time, street art has become more established, with quote-unquote permanent murals and designated street art spaces. There's an International Public Art Festival in Cape Town, which takes place in February, and Sunny's leopard mural was actually created as part of the festival. However, even in these spaces, there's a certain element of impermanence. What you see today isn't necessarily what you'll see 6 months from now. The rhino skull mural, which I photographed in 2014, doesn't exist anymore. It's since been painted over by another work of art. Street art remains very much of the moment, reflecting current social and political concerns. With that in mind, it's no surprise that COVID-themed street art has emerged in places such as Nairobi in Kenya and Stellenbosch in South Africa over the past year.
Graffiti art and street art are both powerful tools that people can use that come from various backgrounds, various cultural heritage. These two modern day languages allows a community to speak in a singular voice if it's used properly and introduced to a community properly. It's about respect given and you'll get respect back. Birth name, Maxwell Southgate. From South Africa, Cape Town. Artist name, Mac1, spelled M-A-K-1-O-N-E. Street art, it's fairly new to South Africa. Before that, I knew it as graffiti art. Before the graffiti art allowed me to speak in a language was important at the time when I grew up. The street art came in and added something new. So now I have more tools to express and say what needs to be said at the right time. There was work I was proud of in the 90s. There was work I was proud of in the early 2000s. Things change, they don't exist anymore, and you have to let go of them emotionally, mentally, everything. The things I'm most proud of are the ones that helped me move on to the next stage of what I like doing or what I thought was important or what I should be doing. I've done a lot of work in North America, lots of parts of Europe, Asia. That really taught me a lot, going there and seeing those things for the first time. Because they were much more far advanced in the street art, graffiti art world than we are. When I came back and I could use that knowledge here, I was really proud because I've learned and I got something to contribute to this civilization. The message I'm trying to portray through my work is that I'm alive and doing things that are relevant right now. Things I grew up with, things that I see, things that I feel. The language is still fresh and new, and everyone's trying to grab and learn it very fast, like an indigenous language. You have to take your time to understand it. So I'm trying to speak through my art form.
So, what distinguishes design from art? Entire PhDs have been devoted to this question, so it's not one we're going to be able to answer comprehensively today. However, design can be thought of as art with a purpose. Objects are designed to fulfill a specific goal, whereas art can just be for its own sake. This Stanislaw Trzebinski table is beautiful, but it's still a table. It has a practical purpose. Design encompasses objects large and small, from furniture to homewares. Just as the Zeitz Mocha put contemporary African art on the map, the Guild Group, also in Cape Town, played a key role in the rise of contemporary African design. They started off promoting African designers to international brands. These plates are made by Wonkiware, a ceramics brand discovered by the founders of Guild Group, which is now stocked in the Conran shop in Selfridges. They founded Southern Guild, Africa's first contemporary collectible design gallery. Described by Elle Decor in 2019 as the continent's sole representative on the global stage of collectible design, a category blurring the lines between design and fine art. Southern Guild brought African design to the heart of key international design forums. In 2011, they became the first African gallery invited to exhibit at Design Miami. They founded the Guild Design Fair, promoting African collectible design and collaborations between African and international designers. And finally, they played a vital role in setting up and curating the V&A watershed in Cape Town to showcase the work of local designers. The African design scene has evolved to the point where the continent is now home to dedicated design-focused events, including the annual Design Indaba and 100% Design. So why include contemporary African art and design in your itineraries? In my view, there are three main advantages. The first is in creating a sense of place. When you see contemporary African art, you know you're in Africa. African art and design is a distinctive antidote to international blandness, which isn't to be discounted in the age of Instagram, where people are always looking for something distinctive. It taps into people's desire for authenticity and sustainability. By connecting travelers to contemporary Africa in all its color and diversity, engaging with local creatives fulfills the growing desire to make real connections with locals through meeting artists like Cyrus Kabiru and Gonzalo Mubunda. Supporting local creatives enables clients to give back, plugging into the major trend towards sustainable travel and conscious consumption. Finally, engaging with contemporary African art and design enables your clients and you to stand out from the crowd. People want unique experiences, to see things their friends haven't seen, and to do things their friends haven't done. The art experience can be as intensive as you like. I've created entire itineraries with an art and design focus. Equally, I've included a museum visit or street art tour within a wider itinerary. One of the most immediate ways you can incorporate contemporary African art and design into your client's experience is through a stay at an art and design focused hotel. Like the overall art experience, the experience at an art focused hotel can be as intensive as you'd like it to be. Clients can dive deep and take full advantage of the art focused activities and environment, or alternatively, they can just enjoy being surrounded by beautiful things. Even clients who are not explicitly interested in art can appreciate the sense of place generated by African art and design. When you stay at one of these hotels, you definitely know you're in Africa. Many art and design hotels in Africa are built around remarkable private collections, the polar opposite of bland corporate design by committee. Each collector imprints their unique aesthetic on the collection, infusing these hotels with tons of personality. Paul Harris at Ellerman House focuses on South African art. Liz Biden at the Silo marries key contemporary artworks and her own bespoke designs to create a very distinctive aesthetic. Baz Singh at the Liu Collection is particularly fond of sculpture and enjoys whimsical works with a humorous twist. Art is embedded throughout the experience from check-in to check-out. The first things you see when you enter Gorgeous George are the pig sculpture and the bespoke art tiles in reception. The rooms at Delairgraph are studded with works of art, while the rooms at Gorgeous George feature bar carts made by a local designer stacked with locally made treats. Works such as the art tiles at Gorgeous George or the corkscrew in the Ellerman House wine studio are often commissioned specifically for the hotel, adding to the uniqueness of the experience. Art hotels often include documentation in the rooms, providing more detail on their art collections. There's something particularly nice about learning about the artwork in your room, which is effectively yours for the duration of your stay. The Silo and Ellerman House have both published books on their collections. In addition to displaying art in their rooms and public areas, art hotels often have on-site galleries or exhibition spaces, such as, from left to right, the Ellerman House Gallery, the Vault at the Silo, and the White Room at Gorgeous George. Many art hotels have art concierges who can tailor the experience to the client's interests. This is Talita Swartz, the art concierge at Ellerman House. Art concierges can conduct guided tours of both the hotel's private collection and museums and galleries. If guests see a work in the hotel that they particularly like, the concierge can arrange a visit to the gallery or even to the artist's studio. Art concierges often have special relationships and can arrange unusual experiences, such as having the artist whose work you bought join you for breakfast. A stay at one of these hotels may also include some art focused perks. Both Ellerman House and the Silo include free entrance to the Zeitz Mocha. As you might expect, given that they're in the same building, you can see the hotel above the museum in this photo. The Silo has a particularly close relationship with the Mocha. While access to some collections at art focused hotels such as Ellerman House is exclusive to in house guests, others welcome visitors to experience the art. Some of the most striking works of art are in the public areas of art focused hotels, such as the reception area, the Silo, Indochine Restaurant, Dallaire Graph. The most famous work in the Dallaire collection, Tertchakov's Chinese Girl, is displayed in the most public part of the hotel, the reception area beside the wine cellar and tasting room. The gardens at Liu Estates and Dallaire Graph are dotted with sculptures. Here, the upper picture shows an Angus Taylor on the lawn at Liu Estates, while the lower one shows a Dylan Lewis at Dallaire Graph. Even the spa at Liu Estates features one of their signature Guy du Toit hair sculptures. Some art hotels, such as the Silo, Dallaire Graph, and Liu Estates, also offer visitors guided tours of the collection for a deeper dive. Now let's take a closer look at the art hotel experience through a brief visit to the Silent Hotel in Cape Town.
The African art scene is thriving, and Cape Town has established itself as a serious art destination for international travelers. The Silo Hotel is located above the Zeitz Museum of Contemporary Art Africa, which showcases Africa's largest collection of contemporary art among the old storage silos. The Silo Hotel and the museum are located in the Silo district of the V&A waterfront. This area has quickly become the heart of Cape Town's design and art scene. We offer our guests bespoke private art tours where they have an opportunity to meet and get to know many of the artists who are featured at the Silo Hotel. Liz Biden has curated the Silo art collection in keeping with Zeitz Mocha. We have over 300 pieces of work in the hotel, and every single work tells a unique story. Art is therefore a big part of the guest experience, and each room is a unique piece of art with information about the artist to share with our guests.
Opening the Silo has been amazing for us to get to know a lot of local artists, and we have such talent in Africa, and at last they're getting exposure.
We really wanted to create a link between the museum and the local art galleries. Each year we work with one local gallery who showcases 2 artists, and they are able to use this incredible vault space to showcase their work. It's provided a great way for us to get immersed into the local art scene and really get to know more artists on a personal basis.
In the end, one of the main reasons people travel is to have experiences they can't have at home. Going on safari remains the primary driver for many people visiting Africa. Fortunately, engagement with contemporary African art and design doesn't have to stop when you head into the bush. There are a number of safari lodges and camps that blend the wilderness experience with striking contemporary design. Contemporary African design manifests differently in the bush than in the city, fusing with the traditional safari aesthetic in fresh and exciting ways. Design-forward safari camps and lodges often incorporate aesthetics and artisans drawn from local tribes. Working clockwise from the upper left, we have Maasai influences at Singida Mara River in Tanzania and Angama Mara in Kenya, Zulu influences at Pinda Homestead in South Africa, and architecture echoing the historic King's Palace at Nyanza at Basati in Rwanda. Some lodges draw inspiration from the natural world. Here we have a pool pavilion designed after a bird's nest at Jau in Botswana, a lounge structured along the lines of a pangolin shape at Sindibi Okavango Lodge, also in Botswana, a sitting room inspired by the shapes and colors of the plants and insects found along the river in front of Singida Swaney in South Africa, Other lodges incorporate references to the local environment. The design of Shipwreck Lodge refers to the shipwrecks found on Namibia's Skeleton Coast where the lodge is located. There are also safari lodges featuring a more immersive art experience, notably Segura Retreat in northern Kenya and Kidro Lodge in Botswana. Segura Retreat is owned by Jochen Zeitz. As you might expect from a lodge owned by the founder of Zeitz Mocha, contemporary African art is a key part of the Segura experience. Your immersion in African art begins with your arrival at Segura, when you view the Striegem van der Meer land art installation, shown in the upper left, from the air as you land. Highlights from Zeitz's extraordinary collection of contemporary African art are dotted throughout the lodge. There is a dedicated exhibition space at Segura, as well as an on-site art expert to enable clients to deep dive into the collection. Adventurous guests can spend a night under the stars in Segura's striking Ne Palad Bird's Nest Sleepout, shown on the lower right, which was designed by award-winning architect Daniel Pouzet. Kidro Lodge was explicitly designed as a living gallery of African art. It features a bespoke art and design collection commissioned for the lodge and inspired by the surrounding environment of the Okavango Delta. The collection includes work from many of Africa's most exciting artists and designers, including Porky Heifer, Dylan Lewis, and Stanislaw Trzebinski. Kidro also has a striking sleepout known as the Baobab Treehouse, shown here in the lower left. As with art hotels, the amount of immersion in design-forward safari lodges and camps is up to you. You can design an itinerary including several design-forward properties to combine exploring the wilderness with exploring contemporary art and design, or include a stay at a design-forward camp or lodge as an accent within a wider safari itinerary. In addition to staying at an art and design-focused hotel or safari lodge, there are a number of other options for incorporating contemporary African art and design into your clients' itineraries. Half-day or full-day tours, including museums, galleries, or street art, can be customized to your client's interests. While it's possible to wander through a museum or into a gallery, or of course down the street on your own, I strongly recommend having a specialist guide. Much of African art is political, and understanding the context adds considerable depth to the experience. Toledo Sports, the art concierge at Ellerman House, is also the founder of a company called Art Route, which does privately guided art and design tours. Toledo is an art consultant and has worked with some of our clients who are serious collectors, as well as interested lay people. Ozzy Yerlikaya, the founder of Travel Designer, specializes in-depth experiences with a particular focus on art and culture. Top specialist guides like Talita and Ozzy have connections which can facilitate access to private collections and take you behind the scenes at art galleries and artist studios. I visited both the Zeitz Mocha and a number of galleries in Cape Town with Talita and her team. I collect contemporary African art and probably have a stronger grasp of the context than most people, and I definitely got more out of the experience when I was with a guide. You can also opt to include an art aspect within a broader experience. We've already mentioned some of the art you could encounter during a wine tasting at Delaire Graph, including Tetrakoff's Chinese Girl, and there are other wine estates with art collections as well. This Angus Taylor is one of several in the garden surrounding La Petite Colombe, one of South Africa's top restaurants. You could arrive a bit early for your dinner reservation and enjoy a stroll through the garden, experiencing the art, or even duck into the Everard Reed Gallery next door. This can also mean including a visit to a smaller dedicated art center like the Dylan Lewis Sculpture Garden during a day in the Winelands, or the Norval Foundation during a day on the Cape Peninsula. For those who want a more immersive experience, there are dedicated art events like the Cape Town Art Fair, 100% Design and Design Indaba, the International Public Art Festival for Street Art, and First Thursdays, which is a series of late-night gallery and restaurant openings in Cape Town and Johannesburg. Events can be pretty intense, especially for clients who are new to the contemporary art scene. There's a lot going on, and for some events like First Thursdays, it's also quite geographically spread out. Again, I recommend working with a guide to curate the event in line with the client's interests. Talita and her team at Art Route can do this for the Cape Town Art Fair and the design-focused events, and Ozzy from Travel Designer does a particularly good job of curating First Thursdays. For clients who are particularly interested in art or in a particular artist, there are opportunities to dive deeper. Immerse yourself in an artist's vision and learn more about their artistic process through a studio visit. You can visit the studios of high-profile artists like William Kentridge, Cyrus Kabiru, Dylan Lewis, and Lionel Smith, who's pictured here. Obviously, this needs to be arranged well in advance, and working with a specialist art guide is key to making this happen. As previously mentioned, Ozzy, a travel designer based in Cape Town, specializes in arranging these sorts of intimate encounters. Talita Schwartz at Art Route can also arrange studio visits in Cape Town, Johannesburg, and Durban. The Dylan Lewis Sculpture Garden in Stellenbosch offers the rare opportunity to see the work of one of Africa's top sculptors situated in a garden designed by the artist, to experience the work as he envisions it. There's also a gallery on site, and it can be visited as a standalone experience or, as previously mentioned, worked into a broader Winelands itinerary. For the ultimate deep dive, you can co-create a unique work of art in partnership with a local creative. Make your mark by creating street art with Mac One, one of South Africa's top street artists. You may remember his Blue Mandela Memorial mural and his Rothschild giraffe from our earlier discussion of street art. Alternatively, spend time at the Forge with blacksmith and sculptor Conrad Hicks. Again, Travel Designer in Cape Town specializes in creating these types of experiences.
I think the scale of my work is something that evolved over time. You kind of like feel up close, and when you step away, you start getting the sense of a visual connection that you have with an image. I grew up in a house full of art. My father is a sculptor, and before I knew it, that was what I was busy doing. I never decided to become an artist, but felt like this is what I was meant to do. My name's Lionel Smith. I'm an artist based in Cape Town, working in painting and sculpture. I work in multiple mediums. I started off painting mostly and establishing myself as a painter, trying to capture the emotion and the essence and the expression of us as human beings. That's where the image of the face comes in. I think mostly I want people to connect to the work on an emotional level. I don't necessarily want people to read a book to understand it. I want people to connect to it immediately when you see the work and it speaks to you. My work also started changing when my space became bigger and the pieces became more abstract, and I wanted to kind of like delve into that abstraction, but at the same time have a representation of something where you see the work and it speaks to you.
It's a rare visitor who doesn't want to take home a memento of their time in Africa. This can mean anything from buying a work of fine art or collectible design from a gallery or artist studio, to visiting the V&A watershed, home to over 150 stalls curated by Southern Guild, and showcasing the work of local designers and makers. Contemporary African art is surprisingly affordable, hundreds or thousands of dollars rather than millions. Contemporary African design is available at all price points, from collectible pieces for thousands of dollars to a set of coasters for $20. The shop at Southern Guild has an extremely well-curated selection of design objects to suit a wide range of budgets, and everyone can enjoy the stunning works of collectible design in the gallery for free. Buying contemporary African art and design enables clients to connect with and support local creatives, while giving them something unusual to take home. It's definitely not your standard African souvenir, and even better, it's definitely not made in China. In conclusion, awareness of and interest in contemporary African art and design has been growing steadily among international audiences. Fine art, street art, and design are particularly exciting areas to explore. There are a wide range of options for incorporating contemporary African art and design into itineraries to Africa. From art and design-focused hotels and safari lodges, to studio visits, and even the opportunity to co-create with local artists. Together, these factors create a significant opportunity for travel advisors. And for your reference, here are the details of some of the specialist guides I've mentioned. If you contact them, please let them know that you learned about them at Africa Travel Week. Travel Designer, based in Cape Town, specializes in deep dive experiences. Art Route, with offices in Cape Town and Johannesburg, soon to be expanding to Durban, was founded by Talita Swartz, the art concierge at Ellerman House. She's an art consultant, and her team includes experts on contemporary design. Finally, please feel free to contact me if you have any questions. Thank you.